again. And I'm David Fraser. I'm your host for this evening, which means that I have the task of keeping everything approximately in shape, one way or another. So ask for your indulgence with that. Good evening and welcome to Hamilton and University of West of Scotland. Before I go any further, I would like to thank the University for their hospitality this evening. They've been extremely generous, providing not just the venue, but tea and coffee and wine. A glass of wine, which is a new thing for the Unreasonable learners. We haven't reached such heights before. So this evening has a serious intent, but we're also here to have a little bit of fun, to enjoy ourselves and so on. We're all here voluntarily, I think. Is anybody here under duress? Possibly one or two. So I'd like us all just to kind of hold that value for us all, that we're all here to, yes, to learn something, to explore some ideas, but also to have fun and enjoy ourselves and meet new people and things like that. So I'd ask you to support both me and all of us in that. First of all, a little bit about the Unreasonable Learners, this perhaps oddly named organisation. It's a loose grouping of individuals and organisations and so on, championing looking at things more systemically, essentially. Saying, rather than just doing the same old kind of thing, can we look at things a bit more mindfully and say, well, if you look at this and achieve a deeper understanding of it, what might you do differently? That kind of thing. So, rather than just, if you find yourself in a situation of thinking, well, I would like to change something, but I'm kind of stuck with just doing what I do because I don't really have any option, I'm sort of trapped in the system, then the Unreasonable Learners exist to connect up people like that who feel a bit isolated perhaps. So quite often when people first get involved in the Unreasonable Learners, they think, I thought I was the only person that thought like that. And funnily enough, actually, they're not. The name is inspired really by George Bernard Shaw, who you will recall said, the reasonable man, he said, but let's say person, accepts the world as it is, whereas the unreasonable person seeks to change it, doesn't accept it as it is. So therefore, he said, all progress depends on the unreasonable person. So that's the kind of inspiration for the name. But I'd like to balance that up with another George Bernard Shaw quote, which is, those that can't change their minds can't change anything. So it's also about learning. And in fact, learning to learn. Learning to be mindful of what's going on and what we might be missing, to perhaps even be comfortable with not knowing. So you've got, put those two things together and you have Unreasonable Learners. Okay? So I've got 6 speakers for you this evening who are held to a brisk time scale, including me, that I should mention. And then we have a chance to speak with 3 out of the 6, your choice, in the second half of the evening. We'll kind of break to tables to do that particular bit. 3 of the speakers are going to look at sort of systemic topics, the wider system. And 3 of them are more about the person, who are we when we show up in the system and what might we do about that differently. That kind of takes me on to how I would suggest you might like to approach the evening. Obviously, you can just engage with the content from the various speakers. But as well as that, you could kind of think about how do we influence around us? We're all influencers of one kind or another. We all seek to influence people around us. So you might like to kind of hold that as well as a kind of frame. Yes, okay, we talk about the content, but sort of how do we influence as well? And, I just suggest you have that sort of awareness as well as you approach the evening. I've certainly found in my attempts to make something different happen that the more we seek to influence the wider system, the more we need to look to our own development and our own growth and our own maturity, really. And a man that I work with a little bit, who's involved in an international community referred to as the art of hosting or art of participatory leadership, a man called Tim Merry, said, the broader we need to go, or want to go, the broader we want to go, the deeper we need to dive. I thought, well, that's a very interesting way of looking at it. What he means is that the more we seek to influence around us, the more we need to look to ourselves. It starts with ourselves. And looking at our sort of metaphor for this, or our title, Ideas that Ripple, Spread and Inspire, you could say the further you want the ripples to spread. If we're the water droplets, dripping into the water there, the deep ripples water droplets will need to go to make the ripples spread throughout the whole of the pond. When you hear the speakers this evening, you might well have a reaction that is, well, I kind of know that, I know that sort of thing. Yeah, I broadly agree, but I feel I can't really do anything about it because. I'd like you to have a frame around that, a slightly different one that is, well, I could do something about that if ... I did something else. So it's kind of think about what's possible, or what could be possible, as you listen to what the speakers have to say, and then later you've got a chance to speak with them, not one-to-one, but in a group with them. So we're going to save questions for the conversational part in the later part of the evening, if that's okay. The thing is here, you see, it's not that we don't know, it's that we don't do what we know. That, in a way, is kind of a frame around the whole thing. So those are my words of introduction. Welcome again to this evening, and enjoy yourselves. We're all here to enjoy ourselves, because we're here voluntarily. So our first speaker is Mike Bell. Mike is going to talk about targets. Targets, we all know about targets, don't we? Let me introduce Mike. Dr. Mike Bell has worked all over the world in a series of roles, including site director to lifeguard and gravedigger. Says, I'm sure that the last two are not connected in any way. He is inspired by ideas and now runs Simple Improvement Limited, teaching and coaching process improvement. You will often hear him quote that the 6 most expensive words in any organisation are, we've always done it that way. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Bell.